keep it to myself. I wanna hold you deeply, but I'm getting something else. Don't make me envious. You know I'm cruel when I see red, and I'm losing my head. You're gonna make me dangerous and push the damage to the edge. Just dance for me instead. I don't want your games now, I just want your love. I don't want this pain, it'll make a mess of us. Don't make me envious. Hello, that's the song I was getting. That's the song I was getting for Mr. Malcolm over here, which I freaking love that song. Me and my daughter love that song. Good morning, collective. Excuse me. Let me just do a little bit of that. Good morning, collective. How are we doing this weekend? I love you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to be here. Every weekend, you can find us here on our YouTube channel, Patience with Spirit. Me and my spirit team bring forward hidden messages. We reveal what needs to heal here on our YouTube channel. If you want to follow any of our other socials, we'd be happy to have you. You can find all of that information in the description bar through the link tree. We are the hosts of Spirit News podcast, where we bring you higher perspectives of linear views. And we are your favorite spirit medium, bringing forward the messages that will help in this time of transition as we go from the head to the heart into the new earth energies and the shift that is taking place right now as we speak. We are so happy to be a part of it with you, doing our own ascension, doing our own journey, our own soul work, our own soul development, and capturing all of that development for you in real time with our spirit team. 221. 221. 221. That is the day that Malcolm X passed away. 221. There's so many connections to the numbers 221, 122, 12. I mean, if you watch us, I have brought that information forward. I don't know what's going on. Hello, good morning. Thank you for being here. I want to thank you all for the love and support. We're so grateful for all of your time. We really appreciate you being here with us. We love you so much. We hope that you're doing well. We hope that you are um, choosing joy in this time. And if you're not, we do have our TikToks, which we have put there for with our own vulnerable moments, where we have asked for our spirit guides advice, and we put those little spirit nuggets there for you to help you on your journey, and we hope that it helps in any way, shape, or form. We absolutely love being of service. We use this channel as a way to develop our spiritual gifts, which we believe everybody has. Everybody has spiritual gifts. Your soul is the conduit or the medium in which spiritual gifts manifest through our physical body, and we use our three brains, our brain, our heart, and our gut to discern the messages, the information, the non-physical information. And so being psychic is not evil. Being psychic is something that we are all inherently supposed to have the ability for, but it takes a great amount of responsibility to have that ability here on in this density, in this third density. So that's why everybody's not when they come here, they don't have those gifts right away. You have to get yourself to a clear field, and to a heart awareness, a heart consciousness, Christ consciousness, to be able to use those gifts so you won't abuse them. If you're not unhealed and you receive those gifts before you're ready, you will 100% abuse them for your own gain. But they're meant to be used in another way to be of service, so we're happy to do that. We are at a level where We have everything we need, and we're so grateful for all of the opportunities and all of the love and support we get that we really just want to be of service. So that's why we're here. And it's funny that I mentioned that because Malcolm X, I chose the if you saw the thumbnail, it was his mugshot when he was younger. He did do some petty crimes, and he had a horrible life, honestly. He had a horrible life. He had lots of trauma, lots of reasons to, stay in that energy. But I put another picture of him where he glowed up, where you can see the light in his eyes. The other one I want you to be able to see energy physically, to identify it. So that way, when you encounter people who are not living in their inheritance, in their divine inheritance, you can identify it and you can step away from those people until they're ready to, you know, go through their journey. But also, Malcolm X is such a wonderful story of being, at the, bottom of the barrel to just being, living in such a low energy, and coming out of it, that you can absolutely 100% heal those wounds and overcome them and change your perspective and use your traumas and your experiences that are not so fun as a catalyst to overcome and live in your divine inheritance. So you can see clearly, in the first picture in his mugshot, you can see the darkness in his eyes. It feels dense. It feels stagnant. And then in the other picture, you can see the light. It looks bright. It looks youthful. It looks has vitality. I can feel that. And so, oh, 144. Yes, Layla, 4. So, I wanted to put that there for you to see it. You can see it. So he's a wonderful, wonderful story, um, or example of how you can absolutely 100% climb out of that hole of trauma, of cyclical behavior, of low energy behavior patterns, of emotional trauma. You can absolutely 100% choose joy and choose to want to use those experiences to help others. Um, so I wanted to share that with you. So Malcolm X, yes, thank you. Let's begin our journey, our conversation, our conversation with Malcolm X, getting his point of view. Now, this is a little different because we know that Malcolm X was assassinated, okay? We know that. But what an interesting ride. What an interesting journey Malcolm X's journey was. It's really is really phenomenal, honestly. To have so much happen in such a short time and have such a like explosion of an end. Um, we want to look at it from a higher perspective. We want to get Malcolm X's point of view. We want to look at it from a higher perspective for things we don't understand, things that are hidden from this equation. You look like a Mexican Meryl Streep. Thank you. Thank you. I think that's funny. I've heard Meryl Streep before, honestly. Hi, Anthony. Hi, bada beep, bada boop. Layla, Michael, thank you so much for being here. Good morning. I'm so happy you're here. There's this little sign that says top fans, and it has a crown by Anthony and by Vijaya. Vahaya. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm very sorry. I'm in Rhode Island. CIA took out Malcolm X. Well, that's interesting because there's definitely something going on. Definitely something going on. And we'll find out. According to what we know, he was assassinated by the actually, you know what? Let me not mess it up, okay? I don't want to. He was assassinated by Thomas Hagen, Muhammad Abdul Aziz, they were members of, where is it? The Nation of Islam, because the leader of the Nation of Islam at the time, abductor, there's something with them. They may have been working with the CIA. It may have been, I don't know. We're gonna find out. I don't want to assume, but we definitely know that it was um, part of that controversial situation. Okay, and really, what it comes down to is, you know, people who use religion as a way to become leaders of other people, but then, you know, they don't actually live that way, you know, and that's kind of what Malcolm found out about certain people he looked up to and stuff. So we're gonna get his point of view. So some of the things I was getting before we started, the song Envious by Luna, which I absolutely love that song. I was getting that song, and it says, people think I'm strong, and there ain't nothing wrong with that, except when I get mad, except when I get sad. And I got no way to hold this feeling, I'll keep it to myself. I want to hold you deeply, but I'm getting something else. Don't make me envious. You know I'm cruel when I see red, and I'm losing my head. You're gonna make me dangerous and push the damage to the edge. Just dance for me instead. And I don't want your games now. I just want your love. I don't want this pain. It'll make a mess of us. Don't make me envious. You know I'm cruel when I see red. So I'm what I'm getting is Malcolm is saying that about, you know, what was the name of that man? Um, I think he's saying that about the leader of the Nation of Islam at the time. The one where he found out, because in the Nation of Islam you're supposed to be celibate. You're not supposed to have lovers, multiple lovers, and the leader of Islam, he found out, had multiple girlfriends who was impregnating, like multiple, like I think it was 6 or 7. So just definitely not living, you know, the way he was supposed to be living or the way he said he was living. So something about him and Malcolm. Um, Malcolm is actually, he became a divine masculine. You can see it in the picture, the difference in the picture. Los Angeles, North Jersey. We were just in Jersey. Oh look, someone's in Providence. Bada beep, bada boop is in Providence. Malcolm X had a preference for white women. Well, I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see. But what's interesting is that Malcolm X came along and he was inspired by this leader of the Nation of Islam at the time. He was inspired by him. It is what catapulted him into his divine energy when he was in prison. Um, and and what actually helped him heal a lot of his wounds to get to that level of awareness. And then putting that person on a pedestal because there's a certain way they're living that's inspiring to Malcolm X, and then finding out that he's a liar, and then getting and then kind of, you know, excelling past that that leader of that leader of the Nation of Islam, surpassing them. And that could have made him very envious. That could have made him very upset. Could have made him very dangerous. Okay, so I got that. That's a song I got. And then when I was sitting here meditating on Malcolm's energy, he said the word elucidation, which I didn't know what that meant, so I looked it up, and it says explanation that makes something clear, a clarification. So I was like, okay. So he definitely wants to clear some things up. He wants to explain himself or explain from his point of view. So I was like, I really appreciate that. And then the last thing I got before we officially start, I had a dream. So I was like, okay, I'll do the dream decoder. So I looked up a random page in the dream book, and it opened to snake. And it's funny because what I was getting about a snake is a snake. I mean, everything has a dual meaning, right? Because this is the plane of duality. But um, in this situation, in this experience of Malcolm, a snake is it's two different meanings. And so there's a snake, this person who he put on a pedestal, who taught him who taught him, how to climb out of his trauma and how to be a better person, and how to be a leader, and really step into, those qualities through this religion. But that person actually ended up being a snake, but they viewed Malcolm as a snake. And Malcolm was a snake in the other symbolic way, where it's more of a spiritual snake, where the Ouroboros, where the Kundalini, where he became enlightened, where he took a self journey of to find out who he was and what he believed in, where he had a really visceral experience of a leader that he thought was it, that turned out to be a snake, that became dangerous. And he, instead of focusing on that person, he chose to become enlightened even more, to take a step forward past that person, and to find his way even more. And that added to the other snakes' envy. So definitely, Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail. It says right here, um, it's seen as the Kundalini, serpent energy that coils up the spine as the serpent's twining the staff of Asclepius, the Greek god of healing. Um, Cave, yes, it's like he went into the cave of Brahman and he became enlightened. And um, but there's also a negative side to a snake. We often fear snakes. We often perceive snakes as, being scary because they're unpredictable and the way they look. And, so there's like two meanings to the snake thing. Definitely like, there's also, I'm getting, viewing, viewing Malcolm X's Kundalini awakening, or his ascension, or his enlightenment, as something that is very dangerous, something that's very um, uh, unpredictable, something that we don't know what's going to happen, how many people will follow him, how many we don't want people to know this information. So it's like a overarching theme in this energy. So it's very interesting. Okay, so those were the three things that I got to like kind of give us a little foundation of what we're gonna get. Okay, so thank you so much, Malcolm X. Oh my gosh, Malcolm X, thank you. Thank you so much for being with us. We are so grateful. We absolutely are so honored to bring the messages forward, to get your point of view. All right, so one of the questions that formulated, what factors are hidden from this story? Please tell us what you want us to know. Thank you. Where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to go? You know what? I'm getting the Bible. Okay. Do you have a talking bird? I don't have a talking bird. Hi, CKK Blast from Hawaii. Hello. Thank you for being here. Good morning. All right, Malcolm X, tell us what you want us to know. What else? What factors are hidden from this story? Chronicles. From Abraham to Jacob. Hmm. From Abraham to Jacob. Let me see. Please explain Abraham to Jacob. Abraham was promised by God that he would be the father of a great nation and that his descendants would inherit the land of Canaan. Isaac was Abraham's son, and he continued the line of the covenant. Jacob, Isaac's son, had his name changed to Israel, and his 12 sons became the founders of the 12 tribes of Israel. These three men, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are considered the patriarchs because they are the foundational figures of Jewish people and their covenant with God. Their stories are central to understanding the history and faith of Israel. God is often referred to as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, emphasizing the continuity of the covenant across generations. Abraham's faith and relationship with God serves as a model and inspiration for Jacob and his descendants. Jacob experiences his own spiritual journey and encounters with God, but Abraham's experiences set the stage for these interactions and for the ongoing relationship between God and the Israelites. In essence, Abraham is the starting point of the covenant and the lineage through which Jacob and the Israelites receive their blessings and identity. The phrase God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob frequently used to emphasize this lineage and God's faithfulness to his covenantal promises through these generations. Hmm. 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 So I'm gonna say what I'm getting, but I don't really know how to say it. There's something about mm, the envy that could have been coming from from the leader of the Nation of Islam could have been about spiritual inheritance, where here you have this leader who's a Nation of Islam who's worked really hard to get, to be the leader of Islam, who has a really pronounced place of power, that believes that they are the ones to have spiritual inheritance. But then here comes Malcolm X, where Malcolm X is very magnetic because he's walking in his spiritual inheritance. And so that's something that you can feel. It's palpable. You can clearly see it in the difference of the pictures, where when he wasn't in his divine inheritance and when he was, you can see it and you can feel it. So there's something about the magnetism of Malcolm X immediately brought an awareness to this person of the Nation of Islam that they are not walking in their spiritual inheritance. They're pretending. So there's something about that. Spiritual legacy. There's also something about, and this happens a lot in religion. In I'm not gonna get into it too much, but it is kind of playing a role here in this situation where there'll be a leader, a leader who claims to have to be in conversations with God, or to be or it says right here, um Jinn. Oh my God, I was thinking of Jinn before. When we first started this, I said something. A jinn. The spirit just said jinn. High priest right here. Yeah, there's something about the Nation of Islam, that leader, that specific leader in the time of Malcolm X. And I'm not saying this is, I don't know what the status of Nation of Islam is now. I don't know. I'm just talking about in this time period that we have time traveled to. That leader could have had some kind of experience with a jinn or some other entity that they perceived as being God. And they may have been told, you know, you're the one to inherit the earth. You're the one who's going to be, you know, the king or whatever, you know. You're the descendant of God. You're the one who made, you're the one who's to make the covenant and be the leader and blah blah blah. And so they may have taken that like very to their ego, you know? And it could have caught, and that's what caused that person's imbalance. Something about that. I know that sounds like all over the place, but I don't really know like how to say it. I don't really know how to articulate that information. Um, but there's something about that, like a false god. Something this person could have been following a false god, and that's why they were not walking in their divine energy, because whatever information they were getting was not of God or something. So here comes Malcolm X, where he's actually doing the work. He's actually transmuting his traumas, and he's for, you know, trying to overcome the horrible things that have he went through as a child, just horrible. Um, and he is magnetic. Okay, so there's something about that. Okay, all right. Please tell us more. We'll do the stair cards. All right, Malcolm X. Please tell us more about what you want us to know. So we know that the envy was caused by your enlightenment, your magnetism. Okay. Um, mm, that's so interesting. Look at this. So it's interesting because in the Jeep, the the windshield is down. The window is down. Hmm. So the Malcolm Malcolm is telling us that this person could have been very uh, impulsive, could have been, he saw right through this person. There's something that they saw through the facade, or they could tell that they're swamp, that they're very murky. They hoard things, they collect things, they pretend to have, they keep, oh, they're a gatekeeper. I get what you're saying. They hold knowledge close to them, they don't openly share it. There were certain things about this person that rubbed Malcolm the wrong way. Um, Kind of like a gatekeeper of knowledge, you know, like I'm getting kind of like and I don't know if it happened like this exactly. This is just an example. When you have a leader or someone who's a leader of like a religious group, and you go to hear them talk, or you go to speak with them and you ask them questions about, the faith, or to try to get some kind of guidance or enlightenment, it always seems like they're gatekeeping or withholding, or not sharing certain information, or saying, oh, well, you're not ready for that information, like just um a trying to play a role, but not really able to get deeper, to not get deeper with the information. And so that was like something that Malcolm X saw through this person, that that kind of rubbed him the wrong way. But he put this person on a pedestal, and he put this person, as somebody who got him to where he needed to be a leader. And so he had like kind of blinders on in that way. um and Spirit talks about all the time, trusting, when someone first shows you something that makes you question them, to absolutely 100% take that as a sign that there's something off about this person, and to not give them the benefit of the doubt, that to take that as Bible, that this person's off. So there's something about that as well. But I mean, clearly he didn't do that. He It took him a while to get away from this person. It actually took many obstacles to get away from this person. Yeah, I told you, this blinders on, rose-colored glasses, seeing things the way he wanted to see them, instead of seeing dreamy transcendence, instead of seeing things the way they really are. Because he was in prison. He used the Nation of Islam. It really resonated with him, and it got him to a place of healing that put him in a leadership position. And so he didn't want to see this leader as what he really was, which is some crazy, impulsive, kooky guy, that has, followers that do what he says. It's like the song says. It says, um, just dance for me instead. This leader of nation at the time, the Nation of Islam, he didn't want leaders, he wanted followers. Okay? He wanted people to follow him and do as he said, not stand next to him and share the experience. He didn't want that. Okay? Yeah, exactly. He wanted to be served. Like, I'm the leader. You do as I say. I don't give my secrets away. I don't give my secrets of knowledge away. I don't want you to be at the same level as me. I don't want you to be eating at the same table as me. That's already another sign of a gatekeeper, He just wanted people around him that said, when he said jump, they said how high. And Malcolm wasn't like that. Malcolm wasn't like that. He's like, I want to be your equal. I don't want to be your servant. I don't want to, I want us to share. I want us to be equal players in this thing. And the leader didn't want that. Yeah. He the leader wanted, you know, he was looking at himself as some kind of royalty or something. Like he was the only one who could inherit God's inheritance, and that's just not true. That's not true. And in fact, he was infected. He had some kind of infectious thought forms of being entitled, of hoarding, of not sharing, of being the main source of nutrition, of wanting, and oh my gosh, you know what? No, no. See that smoke? I know that it's supposed to be heat around the turkey, but when a symbol for energy manipulation is smoke for me. We'll continue reading and seeing, but there's definitely some kind of distortion this leader has about their spiritual authority and who they are and what kind of leader they are. They believe that they are the only leader and that everyone else gets the scraps, and people should do as they're told when they're around them, and they don't want anyone to be of equal value to them. But truly underneath, they're not royalty. They don't have, Spirit said chaser earlier, they don't have um a divine a, a divine mindset. They're very self-interested. They're very selfish. They hoard things. They could have been a hoarder or have what's that universal law? The law of use. It's, oh my gosh, look. The law of use states that, according to what my guides tell me, that when you get something, you should use it. If you don't use it, then you lose it. So when you hoard things to save them or to keep them, what you're really doing is telling the universe that you're afraid to lose these things, and then that's when you lose everything. When you hoard things. So something about that. But this card came out. This is the card of like organized uh, societies or um, orders or um, religion. It's like the Masons or the, what's that one? Eastern Star, or stuff like that. That's definitely, because of the checkerboard, it's definitely a sign for that. I'm gonna get one more of these and then we'll start clarifying, because we're getting a lot of information here. Okay, give me one more. That could be why he thought, this leader thought that he was untouchable, that numbers. That's so funny because 221, if you guys watch me, you know that I'm making some kind of connection when it comes to certain numbers and when it comes to like horrible things. So, for instance, the Idaho 4 was 1122 and their address is 1122. Aaron Carter died 1122. JFK died November 22nd. John O'Keefe, the Karen Reed trial, January 22nd. January 2022. So there's lots of, and then Malcom X died 221. It's inverted. Okay, so something about that. Something about the importance of numbers. Maybe some kind of ritual. Maybe some kind of, I don't know. I don't know. I don't pretend to know. I don't know those things, but they do find, these orders and whatever. They find importance in certain dates and certain numbers. They have to have things line up. They have to hop on one foot at 11 past 12 and under a full moon to like do things, so something about that. I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing at the ridiculousness that people will believe. It's like, okay, you believe that God would have you like do these rituals. I mean, God is omnipotent. God is everything. Everything is everything. I don't know. It's so silly to feel like you have to do these things to get to manifest what you want. It's kind of weird. Okay, so that's the last of that. Okay, tell me about this society. And it's right under this card, which is you know, she's looking at all these players on a board and it looks like they're jumping out of the pages, like she's controlling them or something. Okay, so there's something about that. Spirit said Jinn and a Ouija board earlier. This leader, this Nation of Islam leader could have been using a Ouija board or some kind of, I don't know, communication thing to contact. This could have been before they even became the leader of the Nation of Islam. They could have been getting divination or using divination to predict the future or something. They could have been told that they were going to be the leader and that, you know, that got to their head or something like that. Um, yeah. Tell me more about this numbers and this society. What about the numbers? Tortured a lot of people during the war. Mm. Always votes opposite of you. Yeah, something about inverted. Worst smelling person in the world. Spirit always got jokes, and it's pointing to the society. Worst smelling person in the world. I have some questions. Let me ask some questions. All right, so I have some yes or no questions. Malcolm, are you saying that this leader of the Nation of Islam was playing two sides of something? Yes. Are you saying that you scared? Are you saying that this person was scared because you knew the truth about them? Yes. Were they working with the CIA? Yes. Is the CIA part of this fraternity? Yes. Was the goal of this person in the CIA to keep us separated? Yes. Was there something that you witnessed this person doing that they were scared you would talk about? Yes. Ugh. It's just wild to me. Smokes 4 packs a day. What story from your life comes to mind when you hear hunger? When you hear hunger. Yeah, this person was the third. Oh, there's 2 cards here. The player on each side must create a new holiday and the traditions attached to it. You choose which one you celebrate. Yes. That is so funny. And we have here dark and light. Dark and light. In this situation, Malcolm was a embodiment of what it looks like to get a glow up, to choose what side you want to be on, to choose to want to heal, to choose to not allow your traumas to dictate what direction in life you go in, to overcome, to transmute, to be enlightened, to accept, you know, that we're not separated. And one thing that really made him realize that is this situation, because debatable. This situation and going to Islam and learning the Sunni type of religion, where he went to Islam and realized that those Muslims, they didn't hate each other. You know, they were very, they were like unity. They were in union. They were very comforting to each other. They would help each other. Aman. What is Aman? Spirit just said Aman. I'm just gonna see what that is. Aman. An Egyptian god associated with wind, air, and fertility, often depicted as a ram with ram's horns, a demon from demonology known as Amun, and a historical figure in the King Amun of Judah from the Bible. Interesting. Who is Amun in the Bible? The 15th king of Judah, who reigned for 2 years, known for his idolatry, for following in the wicked ways of his father. Ammon was assassinated by his own servants, but the people of Judah avenged his death by killing the conspirators and installing his son Josiah as a king. He is depicted as someone who did evil in the sight of the Lord, worshipping the idols his father had made and turning away from God. Unlike his father who had repented, Ammon did not humble himself before the Lord. Interesting. Yeah, so in this situation, the leader of Islam, who could have also been in cahoots with CIA, clearly, Spirit said clearly. He could have also secretly been in cahoots with secret orders of the CIA or Masonic groups that are associated with the CIA, to perpetuate separation. But when Malcom X found out that he was a liar, that he actually had many wives and he didn't actually follow any of the rules of that religion, he realized that there's something wrong here. And so he chose, instead of choosing to be angry or to get revenge or whatever, he chose to move forward and to find out what the truth is. Well, if this religion, if this religion that helped me get to this place of leadership promotes separation and racism amongst everybody, then let me go find out what the truth is. So he actually went to Islam, and he realized that the truth is that there is no separation, that there's a part of this religion that he realizes the truth, and that this person is not willing to repent for or take accountability for their shortcomings, for idolatry. There could have been something about him. Like I said in the beginning, I don't know in what capacity, and I don't know how he got there. It could have been before he became the leader of the Nation of Islam, but he definitely was worshiping something else that got him to be in this energy of, not living the rules of this religion. He was a fake person. And so the player on each side must create a new holiday and the traditions attached to it. You choose which one you'd celebrate. So he made a choice. Yes, I will. He made a choice. He said, well, I'll just go out on my own. I don't need you to tell me, who I am. I don't need you to tell me, what to be or what to believe in, because you don't even follow the rules that that this religion you're claiming to be a part of has. Like you, how can you follow a leader? Awful curse. How can you follow a leader that has hurt people, that always votes opposite of you, that doesn't want you to sit at the table with them, that could possibly have a drinking problem, that doesn't even that smells, that doesn't even take a shower, that smokes 4 packs of cigarettes a day? This is not someone who's a leader. This is somebody who has, you know, who follows the flesh, who has no self-discipline, who doesn't exhibit qualities of a leader. They're just pretending. So he decided to make a change. He decided to choose, because this person that he was following, what story from your life comes to mind when you hear hunger? Spirit says when you're hungry for something, when you're thirsty, you're in a chaser mentality. You are searching outside of yourself for things to satiate your hunger for more, 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 more. It's never enough. If you're an empty cup that's constantly being filled, and it doesn't stay full, then you're a chaser. You're constantly needing validation outside of yourself. You have to have people following you instead of being a leader, and you have to have that feeling that you're wanted all the time. And he recognized this in this leader, and this leader recognized Malcolm's divine inheritance, his magnetism. And he realized, and he also found out something. He could have got to a place of next to this person where this person could have showed him possession of someone close, could have showed him that he could have possibly had some kind of dark attachment. Just like Malcolm did in the first picture I showed you. I put those pictures side by side in the thumbnail. In the first picture, you can see the dark energy attachment that is on Malcolm before he transmuted it. You can see it in his face. And Malcolm, in his divine inheritance, could have been able to discern or see that on this leader, or he could have quite literally seen something that this leader did, possibly with a false idol, to gain the power that he has. He could have did this with a number of people or in a group setting, or he could have done this many times a day, something like that. Something about taking a gamble, using his people to, it says possession of someone close. Oh, he could have used, this Nation of Islam leader could have used some kind of jinn to possess some of his people. Doll. Or a doll or a voodoo doll or something, to possess some of his people to do this assassination on Malcolm X. Because just like the song says, it says, "Don't make me envious. You know I'm cruel and I'm see red." It says, It says, "You know I'm cruel and I see red, and I'm losing my head. You're gonna make me dangerous." Malcolm X was put in this person's life for not for them to, not for Malcolm to overthrow them, not for Malcolm to overthrow this leader, but for this leader to see what it looks like to be in your divine inheritance, because this person was not. And instead of choosing to ask Malcolm, well, how did you get there? How did what are you doing differently than what I'm doing? What are some of the things that you've overcome to be able to walk in this energy, to be magnetic? Instead of doing that, it was always a constant, always votes opposite of you. It was always a constant, well, you're not right because I got this message from God. And so whatever you're saying isn't as important as what I got. It was always like a downplaying of Malcolm's divine energy. And so because this person couldn't let go of the fact that Malcolm had surpassed him spiritually, and that he was going to people wanted to listen to him more because he's magnetic. When you're magnetic and you actually do the healing work and you actually are integrating those spiritual lessons into your life, and you're actually, I am worried, it worried him that he was afraid Malcolm was going to surpass him and that he wouldn't, no one would want to follow him anymore. Okay, so for God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son, to whomever believes him shall not perish but have eternal life. In Jesus' name, amen. um and so here's Malcolm X, who's actually living this life, and he's actually disciplined, and he actually has self-control, and he actually has discernment, and he's walking in his divine inheritance, and he didn't have to consult a Ouija board, and he didn't have to be corrupt, and he didn't have to, do a ritual to do it. He did it by just simply asking for forgiveness. For it's just like, oh, I got rid of it, but it's just like Abraham, and or no, it's just like Ammon. Spirit said Ammon didn't want to repent, but his father did. And so that was the difference. Ammon didn't want to humble himself and take accountability for his actions, but Malcolm X did. And that was the difference in this energy. But this person didn't want to admit it. So instead of admitting that he was wrong, he took some kind of action that could have been ritualistic or cultish or hidden, and that's answering the question that we had. What factors are hidden from this equation, from the story? This leader could have consulted some kind of, I don't know if he did it himself, or maybe he consulted the CIA to possess these followers of his to take on the role of assassinating Malcolm X, because Malcolm X was becoming a problem spiritually. He was overcoming his trauma and his childhood identity and his trials and tribulations just by having discipline and self-control. That's the only, that's the things he was exhibiting by actually coming from a hard space. And when he went to Islam and he learned the Sunni religion, he realized that it's not about separation, it's about unity. It's not about separating the races, it's about finding what all of us have in common. We didn't come here to this earth plane to be one race. We came because of the variety of the choice that we could have to experience many different cultures, many different flavors, many different things. And so it's not about being separated, it's about experiencing different things. And so often what we do, and obviously we have a past that's filled with, horrible things, a horrible separation, and those are all distortions. That's none of it is true. But what I'm understanding about energy and about consciousness is that every cycle of time where we have had societies, where we've had culture, they all go through this cycle where there's a dark age where it's definitely separated, and we have this weird belief that, some kind of hierarchy where people are better than others, and blah blah blah, and people abuse their power, and they and do horrible things to other people. Yes, that's absolutely true. But what's also true is that as we move forward, in the cycle, we reach higher levels of consciousness where we start to remember that we're not separated, that if I hurt you, then I'm really hurting myself, because it's about unity. And so that's what Malcolm X realized, and he was in a place of leadership where can I speak, where he could speak about these things to the public, and the CIA and the powers that be are like, who is more likely to become the leader of a cult that just fell out? And these leaders of these cultish like religions don't want everyone to be enlightened, because once you become enlightened, you realize that you're not separated from anything. Hey, Scovy. Hey, Scovy. Good morning. And once we realize that none of us are separated, then that's when we want to help each other, where we want to understand each other, where we want to have compassion for each other, where we want to be a community, where things change, where we don't look outside of ourselves, we don't look to religion, we don't need anything outside of ourselves to understand how the universe works. And so, Malcolm X, if he didn't get assassinated, he would have brought a oh, throat chakra closing up. He would have brought a lot of enlightenment to society. We could have been where we're at now back then if he wasn't assassinated. So that's why he was such a threat, because he actually did the work and got to his divine inheritance without all this, bullshit, without all these lies, without doing any rituals, without doing any, energy manipulation. Whereas the leader of this cult, or the Nation of Islam at that time, he didn't do it that way, and neither did whatever society this is, whatever that is. So that's why he had to go. That's why they possessed members or followers of this leader of Islam, to take out somebody who was going to illuminate. Excuse me, please remove any blockages from my throat chakra. Thank you so much. That's fascinating, honestly. Fascinating. Malcolm X started to realize that it's about equality, not about separation. When you have beliefs that you're separated, it's because there's something that makes you not want to accept something. What is it that makes you not unable to accept something? It's usually hatred of something. You can't accept things that you hate. And that's the lesson. How do we transmute that? How do we forgive that? How do we let go of that? Spirit often tells me, when you hold on to things from the past and you relive them and you bring them up over and over again, you bring them in your energy. Died here. Yeah, you kill the movement forward. You keep yourself in that in the past energy. So I'm not saying that we should forget, you know, the horrible things that happened with racism in the past. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if we don't forgive that as a society, if we don't forgive that part of our horrible history, then we repeat it, because that's how energy works. When you keep those horrible things in your energy instead of allowing ourselves to let them go and appreciate where we're at now, and what it took to get to this place we're at now. Malcolm X was such an important figure in our society, because he spoke up for civil rights, and he put in place many things that we still experience today that are good about racism, and dispelling that racism is not something that exists outside of Earth. Okay. And that was something that was a big thing for me when Spirit said that to me. If an extraterrestrial landed in your front lawn right now, and they came out of their spaceship and they came up to you, they would not say, "Take me to your Islamic leader, take me to your black leader, take me to your white leader." They wouldn't say that. They would speak to you as if you were them, and treat you with respect, and assume that you are a leader in general. Okay. And so they would have the awareness. They first of all, they're going to go to the person who matches their unity frequency. They're not going to go to a person who claims to be a leader of Islam. They're not going to go to that person. They're going to go to the person who's in their heart space, who has the most compassion, who has the most love for everyone around them. They're going to match with that, because that's what they match at. And so Spirit always says it's about moving forward. If we keep on perpetuating and bringing up things in the past a hex, it becomes a curse. That's how we curse ourselves. That's how you, when you keep on hashing up things that happened in the past that we cannot change, and we don't think of ways of how we want, of the ways that we want to change or want it to be different, and we keep thinking about how it was instead of how we want it to be, we create a hex, we create a curse of through our thoughts, through our beliefs. And so it's Malcolm X is telling us right now that in from his point of view, he was a very dangerous person to this group of people because he was going to show everyone what he learned about us not being separated, that racism is being perpetuated by these cults or these religions to keep us separate from each other, because in separation we're easier to control. When we come together as a community and we accept everyone as they are and we forgive past transgressions and we move forward, we become very dangerous to them, not to us. And we step out of that bubble, out of that box that we're being put in, and we become a higher consciousness society, and we become more compassionate and we have more empathy. So, wow. Thank you, Malcolm X. So it's unfortunate that he had to go out this way, but he was onto something, and that's why they took him out, because they don't take out people. Correct. They don't take out people who aren't onto something, who aren't capable of making extreme changes. They're not taking out, you know, little Joe Schmo on the corner who's doing the same thing every day, smoking 4 packs a day, never showers and doesn't take care of himself and likes to torture people. They aren't going and taking out those people. Okay, so Malcolm X is a huge figure that we need to thank for his contribution. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing the work, for showing us what it looks like. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Oh, he's definitely someone who he had a really hard life, and he pulled himself out of that by sheer faith that he could be forgiven. He asked for forgiveness for his sins, and he humbled himself to know that everybody's going through something, and it's a choice. It says right here, choose what we celebrate. Are we going to celebrate the horrible things in the past and keep bringing those things up and keep viewing everything through that lens? Or are we going to move forward and we're going to ask for forgiveness and we're going to forgive others for things that they've done? We have to make that choice if we're going to move forward in the new earth energies, or you're going to get left behind. Ooh, sorry, I had a lot of emotion. Okay, so please tell us something. What's a question? So, what is a question that we can ask ourselves to overcome this and past energy, to help forgive ourselves, to help forgive others, to help us walk in our own divine inheritance? What are some questions we can ask ourselves? What are you trying to tell yourself? What are you trying to tell yourself? Yeah. So this leader of the Nation of Islam kept telling themselves some kind of delusion. Like what delusions are you telling yourself? Are you justifying your actions because you think that you're superior, because you think you have entitlement to do something? Like, what lies are you telling yourself to make things you're doing wrong okay? That's an excellent question. I don't think a lot of us ask ourselves that to begin with. When we take an action towards another that could be hurtful or dangerous, why am I doing this? What is it about this person that is making me want to do this? I think that's an excellent question to ask ourselves. If this person was honest with themselves, who allows you to be you? I was just going to say, if this person was honest with themselves, they would have said to themselves, I'm not being authentic. this person is being authentic and they're threatening me, because if they're being authentic and they're doing the work, then that means I have to do it and I'm not ready to do it. Who allows you to be you? So they have to put on a facade every day to be something they're not, because they don't want to lose power and they don't want to admit to themselves that they're not real, that they're pretending. Male. Yeah, this leader of Islam. Tell yourself the truth. I can't I can't make it. I can't make it up. Tell yourself the truth. All right. And what are some ways that, for people who have a hard time being honest with themselves, what is some advice you have for them? Merkaba. The frequency of the Merkaba supports our ability to use our consciousness to traverse into other layers of reality and dimensions. It activates our access to our Akashic inheritance as well, merging the totality of our experience into our present to serve our highest purpose. Yes, thank you. Spirit's telling us to tell yourself the truth. You have to clear your field, your Merkaba. Your Merkaba is just your electromagnetic field that we all have, and the more it is stained or dirty with things that you can't take accountability for, the harder it will be for you to see the truth or to accept the truth or to know the truth. And the harder it will be for you to take accountability. So Spirit is saying, if you want to inherit your divine inheritance, you have to work on your energy. You have to work on your energy first. You have to stop chasing things that you think are going to fix things. Well, I'll be happy when I get this. Well, I won't be happy if this doesn't happen. Those things, anything outside of yourself, is not going to fix whatever it is that you're going through. You have to work on your energy. We are first and foremost energetic. We are first and foremost non physical entities having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so when you come into a human body and your Merkaba or your field or whatever you however you want to call it is stained with the sins or the, I don't want to say sins because that makes it religious, but the mistakes you've made, where you can't take accountability, it gets dirtier and dirtier, and it becomes so mucky that you can't see your own shortcomings, and you will justify them by telling lies to yourself to make it okay. And so, Spirit is suggesting that if you want to clear your field and you want to learn how to tell yourself the truth, then you need to work on your energy. You need to work on healing. You need to work on forgiving yourself for things you've done, for forgiving others for things they did to you, just like Malcolm X did. He had so many things. You were not listening. He had so many things that happened to him that he could have chose to stay in that energy of, to justify his actions. Well, they took my mother from me. They took my father from me. I hate them and I'm going to retaliate on them. He could have taken that direction, but he chose to overcome and choose joy, to choose to use his situation to help others who are going through the same thing. And that's the difference. He chose to humble himself, to ask for forgiveness for his transgressions. And that's what you need to do. If you find yourself unable to be truthful about your actions towards others or towards yourself or the things you do, then you need to take a step towards forgiving yourself for those actions. That's a great step to take. In order for you to be truthful, you have to know that there are things that need forgiving. So that is the suggestion of Spirit. Can I get one more and then we'll close it out? Trust. Trust. That's a great one. Allow me, divine, to give my deepest longings, trusting you to know exactly how to handle them. Yes. When you humble yourself to When you humble yourself and you admit that you don't know everything, that you don't have all the answers, that you don't have control, and you ask for help and you just trust that help is coming, you open yourself up to an array of opportunities that spirit can guide you towards to help you clear your field, to help you get to a higher level of consciousness, to help, like just like Malcolm X, he became divine through trusting in his faith that that he could be forgiven. So that's an awesome, awesome, awesome lesson. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Malcolm X. We appreciate you. Thank you for all you did to get us to where we are. We love you so much, and thank you for being here. Tomorrow we're gonna do another reading, so if you want to see what that's gonna be about, I'm not gonna tell you because I don't want it to be infiltrated. But I love you so much, and we'll be here tomorrow. See you then. Bye.